Hello guys, in another episode of Omnipotent Growth with Kal. Today we are going to unveil the foundations of emotional intelligence in leadership. Hello Stefan.
Hi Kal, nice to see you.
So today's topic is, let's say, one of the very few things that are not so easy to put into books when it comes to how to use them, how to explain and how to describe them. Now Stefan is going to share some of the things that are already written, and we can explore them afterwards in practical situations and some examples. And of course, I will have my input as I'm very invested into the topic.
I know about your interest in the topic, so let's start off. So while we have been doing this show and our interviews, we forged our signature question: what is your recipe for leadership growth? We heard the answers of some of the brightest people that we are lucky to know. Some of the answers were self-awareness, authenticity, drive for self-development. These are all part of the emotional intelligence, a topic I know you're very passionate about. Although the term initially appeared in 1964, it was made popular by David Goleman, a science journalist. In now widely famous article from 2004, What Makes a Leader, Goleman claims that emotional intelligence is the essential ingredient of leadership. He outlines 5 components of emotional intelligence which are crucial for leaders. Self-awareness, the ability to read and understand your own emotions. Self-management, the ability to keep disruptive emotions under control, to think before you act. Motivation, this is the passion to work. Social awareness, the skill of sensing other people's emotions. And social skills, the ability to take charge and inspire with a compelling vision. Kal, what do you think is the role of emotional intelligence in today's corporate world, especially for leaders?
So the role is more than impactful. It's crucial, actually.
Yeah.
It really separates the cultures of different companies, because if you approve the ability of your managers, of the leaders in your company, to have emotional intelligence skills, then you are enabling a whole different view on the business. Like you're not so confined on metrics or on end goals, but you're more going into, let's say, the infinite game, how Simon Sinek puts it. You're into the process for the long run. You know that this is very important to be sustainable in your business, in your work, in your environment. And then if you enable this in your culture, you're starting to see some changes and some proactivity in people that you usually don't expect to. And then when you said the 5 key components, I don't know, maybe you can combine them into those, but then I haven't heard resilience, for example. And resilience is quite important for the leader, because sometimes it's really stressful. You have more than one things that are under siege or under fire at the moment. So if you are not able to draw back your emotions, have a look on a different angle, to be able to endure and to really use this tiny gap between the stimulus and the reaction. Viktor Frankl, the famous author of Man's Search of Meaning, he always explains how it's the human's ability to decide what to do after the stimulus. So when something happens, you have a small gap in which you can really think about how you want to put yourself there, how you want to react, what you want to represent. And this is something that is tightly bound with resilience. If you're more resilient, for example, ancient practices like Stoicism can improve your resiliency, but if the environment is stressful, if you're stressing out, you're making it even more stressful. So if you take another stance, then you can change the vibe, you can change the whole flow of the environment, and instill some calmness and some, let's say, stillness into the environment in which when you slow down a bit, then you see all the perspectives. And another angle on emotional intelligence is not the appreciation, but the understanding of happiness. That we very often neglect this into people. So we tend to think of leaders as machines. They do have to do their job. They do have to reach their goals. The teams should perform, and so on and so forth. But then the happiness of the leader is as important as the happiness of every member of the team, because this is something that you radiate, and when you understand that this is a state of mind and not an end goal, then you can address topics in a different way. Then you can try to show positivity, to show people that it's not a life and death sentence if something is done the other way or something like that. And we just are scratching on the surface, but because each and every one of those forces, topics, or however pillars, or however we want to put them, they can go very deep, and there are actually tactics in which you can apply in your daily business and just improve those qualities. So overall, the impact is quite enormous, and we can delve into the topics later on in more detail.
Yeah, we will, because I think this is very important for everyone, especially for the leaders who are under enormous stress sometimes, and they really need to keep calm, as you said, to assess the situation out of their own angle, from different angles. So it's really nice to discuss it further. So back again to Daniel Goleman, because he's really famous name in this field of the emotional intelligence. In another article, which is called the Focused Leader, Daniel Goleman speaks of the need of leaders to focus on three large areas: focusing on yourself, which is the self-awareness of the leader, knowing your true north, in the words of Bill George, self-control, knowing your initial reactions, how to control them. The other large area is focusing on others, which is the empathy part, which stands for understanding the people's emotions and perspectives and sense their needs, and focus on the wider world, like which are the coming trends, innovations, and so on. So how can a leader strengthen his or her focus in these areas?
I would start backwards, because this is the thing that I want to react directly. Then you can remind me which were the other two. But when it comes to understanding others, I think there is one crucial mistake that people do when they're thinking about empathy, and then this is the part in which you think that you're empathic because you put yourself into the position of the other. But this is the wrong way to do it, because yourself is a person with qualities, with way of thinking, with mindset, and with experiences that the other person might not have. Exactly. And then if you want to be truly empathic, you should recreate yourself, recreate the thinking of the person across, or the person that you want to embody. Then you can really appreciate the struggles. Then you can really appreciate, let's say, the uncertainty or whatever thing is happening at the moment. You should find the best way to read the character of your employer or of your colleague, and try to view the situation in that mindset, in that frame. And only then you can really start with the sentence, I know what you mean, and I understand that you are in a certain situation, and so on and so forth. So this is, let's say, one key moment. Of course, there are others, but this is one key moment that people should really focus on to see the difference in showing and expressing, executing empathy, let's say. So the other were focusing on yourself.
Yeah.
So when you're focusing on yourself, as I said, resiliency. So this, in a nutshell, if I can put it in 3 words, is a lot of sleep and rest, a lot of feedback to your own self. So this is, Tim Ferriss has a famous list. What is the worst that can happen? So when you are inside your mind and you're thinking about all those awful stuff that might happen tomorrow, then your mind explodes and you're drifted into thought, and you're lost. When you trap your mind on paper and see, okay, in this situation, what is the worst that can happen? What can I do to counter that? And what will be the outcome? Then it becomes physical, it takes physical form, and you are relieved from the tension of the free storming thought in your mind. And the rest was
focus on the wider wider world.
On the wider world. So I'm really, how to say, I'm a type of a generalist. I like to see different perspectives, different fields, and different topics, and I try to combine them and to tie them into a knot, let's say, and see what connects with what. So this is interesting for me. What you can do is combine the knowledge of your field. So be very knowledgeable in your field. This is, I think, all people know that this is very important, and most of the companies are doing their promotion based only on that, which is not ideal, but this is quite important. But then you should broaden, as we spoke about it into the side gigs and so on. You should broaden with complementary skills. So what are the things that you can do, you can learn that can complement the things that are essential for your industry or for your niche or for whatever you're dealing with. Then the third thing is to focus on what will help you to feel more comfortable. For example, you might never need to speak in front of 100 people in your career ever, but when speaking will make you more comfortable, even if it's tete-a-tete, if it's with one person across the desk, then you should make sure that this is also broadened for you. So when you see the trends, I see that artificial intelligence is taking over a lot of jobs. So if you want to be aware of trends, be aware of how you can complement the computers, how you can complement the machines. If you're not doing that, you're headed into the wrong direction, most certainly. So if you don't want to be obsolete, if you want to keep your people on the edge, evolving, growing, keep yourself on the edge, evolving, growing, then you should be able to communicate better, complement the machines, and broaden those sympathetic extra strengths, extra skills that you can add to the core. Was there something else? Or?
No. This were you addressed
cool.
the 3 large areas that Daniel Goleman spoke about. You touched upon a very interesting topic, which is the deep knowledge into the area where you're leading. So my next question is, can a great leader can a leader be a great leader without the deep technical expertise in the field of where he or she is leading? And this question is provoked by research that I found recently, that the best leaders know a lot about the domain in which they are leading. Is it more important to be with very deep knowledge in the field, or more emotional, intelligent, but with a more superficial knowledge?
So, my personal opinion is that if you can do without one of them, you can do without the hard skills. The experience and the companies show the other way. but I think that in many cases there are top leaders. Of course, it really depends on the team. It really depends on the level of leadership, because if you are too close to operations, then you are you are bound to the technical skills. You cannot do anything without really understanding what is going on. But for next levels, for further up, it's more people's management, and you can rely a lot on your connection with others, your emotional intelligence, also a lot on coaching, because if you have we get back to you depend on your team. If your team is very good into the hard skills and very knowledgeable, then if you're a good coach, you can extract the best greatness out of them. And but this should separate the micromanagement and the other stuff, because people that are very invested into the hard skills tend to do more micromanagement, and this is some practice that is hard to be switched in the other direction. But let's say that if you are aware of your domain, and if you are a good communicator or very emotionally intelligent person, you can do good. But if you're perfect technically and very poor into the other direction, you will disrupt the team that you're leading, or whatever that you're leading. This is on the lower level. And the perfect combination for me, I'm into engineering, so I always tend to separate the strategical, what should I know, so how are the trends going into the engineering world, how we can achieve more with the human potential and the evolving technologies, how we can, the thing that I said, how we can complement what is already there and build upon that. Then go further into, then you go into stuff like on the higher abstraction level is the architecture. Then when you go further into the rabbit hole, you have things like code styling. Then you have a pure logic and implementation and so on. So you have to separate those to have, let's say, the pizza of your business, of your domain, and you have to analyze. If you want to really address all the pieces, you have to analyze where you're good at, what you can delegate, what you can extract from the team with coaching, and what are really the pieces that you can address that will improve all other pieces. This is a coaching method, so this is something really valuable here. There are things that if you can improve, they improve the whole picture. Yeah. And in the end, it goes to experience, of course, but then it goes to the open mind, in which you have to decide what type of leader you want to be. Do you want to explore more? Do you want to separate the little pieces in your domain, or you want to go half and half, or 80-20? I care about the implementation, I don't care about other stuff, because the fault that we all have is that when you are measured by something, you address only this.
Yeah.
Nobody sees how good you treat your people and how happy are they with you, and how are they growing. But when the project is not on time,
everybody notices.
Everybody notices.
Yeah. Thanks for the input. As we said in the beginning, the topic is very broad, and we'll continue our talks about it in our later episodes. So thank you very much for your input, Kal. Final words here.
Thanks, Steph. So final words will be a segue, a transition to maybe the future topics. I really think that with the right mindset and the right methods of addressing the different parts of your leadership, you can find that emotional intelligence is a big chunk, and it can be addressed, and it can be stripped down to tactics. So if your emotional intelligence is one of your main strategies, let's say you want to be with a very well-shaped mindset, you want to address that, give feedback to yourself, create the right type of habits, create the right type of feedback systems for yourself to improve your mindset. Then if you can say that emotional intelligence is the next thing that is on a strategical level, then you can separate it into pillars. Addressing yourself, addressing others, addressing how you how is your empathy working, your resilience, your happiness, your mindfulness, because this is a topic that we didn't reach that much. Your mindfulness about the circumstances and what you're the broadcast has a lot of signals. What you're picking up is what makes us different, like leaders, like humans. And when you go throughout all of this, when you go through influence, because this is again very tightly connected with emotional intelligence. Influence is the part in which you can swing the rule, let's say, of the ship into different directions without everybody feeling shaken. Then if you try to convey your idea, then the people to understand it, to put their sugar and spices on top of that, then you're going to achieve other results. So you can go on tactical levels, and then there are certain steps that you can take for each and every one of those aspects. To go deeper and to really strengthen your emotional intelligence. So I guess this is it for today. Thanks a lot, Stefan. It was a great episode, and don't forget to subscribe to our show and share the content. See you next week.
See you guys. Thank you.